What is up, Jabronis? A second time. For anybody who wasn't a part of the first video, God bless. If you were a part of the first video, you did happen to see firsthand how it ended. Shame on all fronts.
I had nothing to do with it, JJ. I blame you for allowing your father to have the nuclear red button to allow us to get kicked off. By the way, that was 8 minutes and something seconds. The show will not be that good. You might get some player prop picks, but it definitely won't be as entertaining as your father sabotaging us and hanging up on us.
And the worst is that pubic hair joke is how he ends it and then ends the video right
yeah. And he goes, and that was it.
And then ended the video.
We thought,
but yeah, so real quick, obviously we're going to get this video done for you guys in definitely less than 30 minutes. So Spread and Tyler can run through their weekend stuff as well. Thoughts on last night? What a disaster.
Broncos are done. I don't understand what in the hell Russell Wilson was doing, throwing that pass on third down in the end zone, intercepted. What is the number said? You got a 97% chance of winning the game if you kick a field goal. He's a mess. Russell Wilson looks completely washed. The head coach needs to be fired. I'm serious. Nathaniel Hackett's not going to work out. So they can keep him for the season or whatever. Now Ronald Darby, one of the better corners in the league. He's their number 2. He's gone. Their left tackle Garrett Bowles is gone. Javante's gone. Tim Patrick's gone. The injuries, the coaching, and the utter destruction of whatever Russell Wilson was, it's going to be a long season here, buddy.
Yeah, that was a really tough game to watch. Obviously, was fortunate meet up with Tony in the city, watch the game together. But yeah, it was that was a tough game to watch on all fronts. Wouldn't matter who you were watching with, when you were watching it. God, it was brutal. But yeah, it was nice to hit a few bets yesterday. Holden, I saw you swept the board as well.
I did 4-0, and it's probably because we didn't do this show together, but we had a good night. Yeah, I went out, had a Matt Ryan interception. That was going to happen. Melvin Gordon receiving yards should not be set at 10.5 yards. I don't even remember what the other ones were, but it was a good 4-0 night. And the under was a joke. You know, I hit the under after the first 2 series. I said to myself, this game is screwed. I hit the under 29.5 at like +2 something. And it was never a sweat.
Yeah, it was crazy because I know obviously my dad bet the under. I wasn't as in love with the under because I did feel like it was a bit of an overreaction to some guys out and offenses that have been struggling, but that's why the number was as low as it was. But man, you watch the game back, it was like, how stupid could you be? Like, as far as myself, like that game was never going to score. Like they were never going to score points in that game. Receivers weren't getting separation. The lines weren't holding up. Quarterbacks were it seemed like Matt Ryan consistently moved past his first and second reads that were wide open. Like, it was just a terrible game to watch on all fronts.
See, I enjoyed it because I was winning money, but it's look, Broncos Chargers total 47 next Monday night. Like, that thing is going to close in the low 40s. If you're into a look ahead line, just go dig into that and figure it out. But the Broncos just can't score. They don't have team totals up yet, but boy, that's bad, JJ. But let's try and keep the streak going. You had a really good night too, right? 2-0 last night. So we'll try and make it a better one this week. I have sucked to this point. But it's going to change. You know what? I think I split it last week because I had that stupid Evan McPherson field goal prop. So that was good. But let's get into this here. Best bet. What would you say is your best prop bet of the week, JJ? And then we'll get into the other ones. 3 apiece, and I got some questions for you too.
I know he burned me last week, but to me, I went right back to Gabe Davis. I've done this year where I may have been a week early on some of these plays. Davis's number is less than it was last week. It's 46.5. Once again, quote unquote injury concerns with Davis, but he played practically every snap again. Obviously playing Pittsburgh with lack of a pass rush. To me, they need to get Davis more involved anyway. Like they're not going to be where they want to be with just Diggs and a mid run game. They need to get him more involved on the outside. It especially opens up things for Diggs as well. I think it's a good matchup for him, especially since Diggs is going to see all the extra coverage from, I guess, like Minka is probably going to shadow that side, I would assume. But regardless, you're getting 46.5. I don't know what the number is right now. I'd assume it hasn't moved much. I'm just trying to confirm what the number currently is for him. But 46.5 was up yesterday. Let me just peek real quick.
For Gabe Davis?
Yeah. I guess it could be less. He hasn't done much. It could scare. I mean, people could be scared to bet him more. So it's up to 48.5 now. So I'll be honest. I bet him 49.5 last week. I still like 48.5 for him as well. So yeah, completely on board with Gabe Davis, my favorite play of the week. And again, I know he let down last week, but to me, it doesn't. He was on the field the entire time, just didn't get as many looks. I think it's only a matter of time before his receiving props are on a weekly basis in the high 50s, low 60s, much like Pittman. But with that said, he needs to show one good game, but I'm hoping it's going to be this one.
So, first of all, Joey Work in the chat. It is Worktober. He just cashed his first bet for us. The Guardians money line. It is Worktober. If you bet baseball or you don't bet baseball, get over to Run Pure Bets right now. Sign up. You're going to want to tail this guy. Blind tailing is what I do with Joey, especially when it comes into the playoffs. So let's get that going. He's also making fun of your hat. I wasn't going to make fun of you. You look like an idiot, but big deal.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of at this point used to putting on different types of hats and shirts and whatever's that you guys don't like. And that's fine. I actually prefer it that way. Neither of you two have any fashion sense. So
correct.
I appreciate your guys' negative criteria or negative approach to what I wear, because it actually makes me feel better about it.
So my first bet is going to be a guy that just absolutely stinks, can't get out of his way, and his teammates hate him. And that's Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, you can still find this at 196.5. This guy has consistently finished like 20 yards below his prop. So his average prop was 213. Now they're throwing it down in the high 100s. And yeah, I get it. San Francisco's got to go across the country. They got to do this. There is no question that Matt Rule wants to keep the ball out of Baker Mayfield's hands as much as possible. So 196.5, I get it. I think this thing's probably going to close closer to 193.5. Baker Mayfield under 196.5 is going to be my first official play here, JJ. And it's not just narrative, but let's face it. This guy is horrible. DJ Moore complained about him last week. At least he got the ball a little bit. He doesn't know how to use his weapons. Unless Christian McCaffrey takes a dump down and runs for 70 yards, I don't think he gets close to this number.
Yeah. So you see that sliding pendulum, right? Where it goes down and down and down. Let me ask you this. What number would it have to be for you to bet an over for Baker Mayfield?
In the 160s, maybe 170. Wow. Like I've got a huge gap. I went back and watched I watched the condensed game there on YouTube. So it wasn't the all 22 or something, but my God, man, this guy is just clueless. You know, it's a new system like that. He had to learn it. There are some projections out there in the low 200s. I just don't see him getting there this week. I just think he's that bad. The problem is they're not going to pull him. You don't like the bet. You like the over, which is fine.
His job is safe. I want to be clear. I don't like the over. Call me indifferent. I just know that. Yeah, he's not going anywhere. Obviously, Darnold's on the IR and Matt Corral's on the IR, but Corral wouldn't have seen snaps anyway. PJ Walker, they kind of know what they have with him. But yeah, Baker Mayfield's been so tough to watch. But it wouldn't surprise me, as silly as it sounds, just because I know that the way the typical quote unquote the sharper market hits these props is they are looking for spots like this to target the overreactions, if you will. I'll be honest, though, I agree. I don't think this is an overreaction. I think they've had this number wrong from the get-go. It's just a matter of how wrong. So, yeah.
I want to talk to you about another guy then before we get to more of your best bets. Justin Fields, 25.5 pass attempts. We had it at 23.5 last week. It went under. This guy has attempted 20 passes one time, and it was last week. The thing I asked you this, do I bet this or not? Because he's been horrible against the blitz, and the Vikings just don't blitz. Now, maybe they changed their modus operandi on defense this week and blitz the hell out of them, but Eberflus does not want this guy throwing the football. Like 26 pass attempts in a game for Justin Fields. Doesn't that feel high or no?
It does. It does. I will say this because we talked about this on the Print Factory. I just don't trust this Minnesota team. I mean, obviously I'm a fan, but I don't even know what to make of what they've shown these past 4 weeks or these last few weeks. The Packers win was great, but like since then, I mean, they luck boxed to win against the Lions. They've just looked like shit for most of these games. And yeah, they occasionally look good for a quarter here and there. Justin Jefferson seems to come in and out in relation to how explosive he obviously can be on a consistent basis. Granted, he had a decent game last week, but he was like invisible the 2 games prior. And I know that they have weapons everywhere. Irv Smith just feels like a guy they need to get more involved, and they're not. Dalvin, it seems like every week he's on the injury report. I just like, I don't, and defensively, they've been terrible. Like against decent offenses, granted, they get the Packers week 1 with all those continuity issues and they look good. But ever since that game, like they've looked like shit. The Saints, I'd argue the Saints should have won that game last week. I mean, they looked better. So I don't know. The Minnesota defense is tough to trust. And if Minnesota does get a lead, I think the good thing you got going for you is I don't trust Minnesota's offense to get a big lead in this game, which would help the Bears run game. And I think, what's his name? Is Montgomery's not back this week, is he?
He might be. He might be back.
I think Herbert's a better back. So like, I don't, to me, I think they get an upgrade when Herbert's in, to be honest.
Yeah.
But their run game, like you said, Holden, Fields takes a lot of carries, takes a lot of sacks. This results in him not getting a pass attempt off. I think the only way this gets over is if they go down 2 scores, and they're down 2 scores the entire game. Other than that, I think the play is close enough where the Bears can continue to try to run the football, and you can run against Minnesota. It's been proven this year, so I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I've not bet it. I like the bet that you like less, just because San Francisco, they play man, they play zone. They're number 1 against the pass. But the Justin Fields one is going to be one that I'll probably agonize over. If I don't hit it and that thing goes under, I'm going to be really pissed off. All right, what's your second best bet here, JJ?
Yeah, so I liked Rondale Moore over 50.5. I thought about waiting on this because I thought maybe it would drop. I'm interested in what the number is now. Let me just pull this up. It's a guy that played over, I think, 70% of the snaps last week, and that number should go up for this week. It's a game where game script figures for Arizona to have to get through the air if they're going to do anything with consistency. I'm just trying to see what number is it off the board now.
What's that?
I think it's off the board now. I don't see him as an option now.
Okay.
He was an option yesterday, Rondale Moore. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe somebody's potentially hurt or not hurt that's skewing this. But yeah, I did get him at 50.5 last night or early yesterday. I'm sorry, 40.5. I said 50.5. So obviously they pulled it off, and on DraftKings, I'm sure they'll repost it, and I'm sure FanDuel will have it at some point. I think you're going to be around 40.5. So if you're there, I love the spot. This is a guy that played about 70% of snaps. He's the only guy that showed at least some ability to get separation. I know Kyler missed him on a few routes, but this is a guy that he's getting open, and Hollywood's going to start seeing a lot more attention. Quick thing on Hollywood, like this guy went from a dude dropping easy passes in Baltimore to now he's catching jump balls with consistency. He's toe tapping on the sidelines. Guy looks like a whole different receiver here. So to your point, Jim, Price has him 38.5. I assume the books might reopen it around there. I just liked the fact that he was out there as often as he was, and Kyle just missed him on a few spots, and he's gonna game script figures to be good for them to throw the football, and they got to do something explosive. They got to get a little clever with some of this play calling because their offense looked so vanilla first few weeks. But game time decision, so that makes sense, Maddie. To me, if he plays, he's going to play the bulk of the snaps. If he doesn't, it'll get voided. I really like the spot, though. Holden, what do you think?
All right, very good. It's not a bad spot at all. Plus, you would think with that game script, if we're predicting game script here, that's going to be a very positive one. Just got a little news here. Bailey Zappi expected to start week 5 against the Lions. I do have a bet from this game. Listen, Damian Harris has scored 13 of 15 games. Okay. One of those 2 times he didn't score, though, was with Zappi under center. The bottom line is this: the guy gets the carries down deep. The guy is completely underrated. I mean, especially in DFS, he costs a lot more than Stevenson on FanDuel, but he's touchdown dependent. And I think he gets back in the box again. I'm not overthinking this too much, JJ. I think I could look at Zappi and say, oh man, these are the reasons why he's not going to score. You give me Damian Harris plus money, plus 111. That's my next player prop. He's going to fall.
I like
in the box.
I debated on playing both running backs over their prop because I feel like more times than not, you go 2-0 versus 0-2. And I feel like the most of the time you're going to go 1-1, but how's New England going to move the football against this team again with everybody who's moved the football against this team? And it's going to come from the ground game. They're going to try to push this defensive line back like a few of these other teams did. Now you can throw the ball against Detroit, but with Zappi, they didn't look like they want to take much risk with him last week. I don't know why.
They don't run.
Gunslinger in college. But with that said, if you watch the game, Zappe somehow looked like he had less arm strength than Brian Hoyer. He was not able to zip the ball sideline to sideline. So, yeah, maybe that's a bit of a concern for them. But if it is, even better for the rushing props. I think this is going to be a game where New England consistently runs it 2 times out of 3 downs. And, obviously they'll try to mix and match with counters and whatnot to keep Detroit off balance. But Detroit hasn't been able to stop anybody. Detroit finds themselves in shootouts on a weekly basis. I like the spot for New England to move the football here, especially on the ground. So, no, I like that. And I honestly debate on betting both of them, primarily because I like the idea of going 2-0 more than 0-2 with those two.
To score or yards or everything?
Yards over.
Yards over. Yeah, I'm taking his touchdown. I think he gets back in the box. I'm getting plus money on it. So Damian Harris, touchdown plus 111. All right, what's your third and final best bet, my man?
Yeah, so this is not going to be a player prop. So we'll give you a little special treat here because normally we do Holden. Normally the third one I do is a Thursday Night Football player prop.
Mm-hmm.
But we are a day late. I really like the Patriots first half. We were talking about the Patriots a bit. I think this is a nightmare matchup for the Lions. This is a team that's played a very soft calendar schedule thus far. They've been in a dome a few times, obviously playing home. They've also played really soft defenses as well. I think Atlanta, Seattle, who are the other 2 teams this team's played?
Hey, can I just ask you a quick question? Since they haven't officially named Zappe, do you think we can get a better line once Zappe is officially announced, or is this just going to be locked in?
I think the assumption is he's playing. I think if anything, it'll likely go the other way because if he gets announced that he's not going to start, I think it's going to move even further in favor of the Patriots. But
hold on, Zappe starting?
No, I'm saying if he gets announced that he's not starting because of either Mac Jones, who are they even up for debate? Hoyer or Mac Jones, one of them?
Yeah, that's it. Well, Hoyer's done, so it's now Mac Jones or Zappe.
Oh yeah. So for me, I think it's going to be. Yeah, if Mac Jones can play, I think it's going to be a big spot or extra points for the Patriots, even though I don't even know how deserved it is. Mac Jones has looked terrible.
Yeah.
But they played Minnesota and they played Washington. Washington's defense has looked like shit. And it looks like they might have played, I think, 4 dome games, actually, now that I look at their schedule. Yeah, because they home.
Yeah, this is what I was saying. Was it this morning or yesterday that Jared Goff does not get to play in a dome anymore. Jared Goff has to go out and play in the elements. And it ain't going to be smooth sailing for him.
Yeah, so I don't think it's going to be like super chilly this weekend, but it's not exactly Jared Goff type throwing weather. I think this is a really good spot for the Patriots to just push this defensive line back, as mentioned with the rushing props we already discussed. I like first half. I like first half because for whatever reason, this Detroit team just seems to not go away. And in a game where I do have offensive consistency concerns with the Patriots for some obvious reasons, I prefer the first half. I think they come out with some scripted plays and make things easier for Zappe. And I think they get a few extra points on the board early. So, yeah, I bet Pats -2 first half. I think I got that -105 at FanDuel. It might be you might be get a little cheaper.
-1 at -115.
Yeah, I mean, -1's a better number. Obviously, a 7-6 first half helps you there. So, yeah, I'd probably prefer the 10 cents for that half point. But I bet it at 2 -105. Really like the spot. I think their offense moves the ball efficiently, and Detroit struggles a bit in the elements against a good defense, against an actually good defense. So yeah, that was where I fired.
All right, blind tailed you just because I was leaning toward the Patriots anyway. So, all right, let me give you my last play. So what do I got? Baker under 196.5. Damian Harris touchdown. Let's go to Lamar. We'll finally do an over here, and Lamar 56.5. So after week 1. It was, this guy is fat. He's drinking milkshakes. Then week 2, he explodes. So last week I went with the over, or the 2 weeks ago. Week 4, we go with the over. And now week 5, I'm going with the over. 56.5 yards. This guy has the most rushing yards over expectation. Like there's nobody running the ball better than Lamar Jackson right now. And you could throw any single running back into the mix. This guy is the best back in the NFL right now. You add into the mix that, and no Bateman again. I think that maybe it keeps him away, but ultimately it's a great matchup. That Cincinnati defense, it's 56.5 yards. And I love betting the quarterback props live. And I learned from JJ, especially at halftime, but I don't think you're getting 56.5 very long, JJ. So maybe I'll throw that as my best bet. Lamar over 56.5.
I like it. I like it. I feel like that number, if you remember, there was a time, was it last year, the year before, where they were hanging 75s for him. I think on almost a consistent basis.
It'll be back. It'll be back.
I like it.
So my best bet will be Lamar over 56.5, Baker under 196, and Damian Harris. The last one I just want to bring up real quick. I know we got the show coming up next. I'm going to take a look at the Breece Hall over 2.5 receptions just because he is so involved in that passing game right now. The only question is 3 receptions might be a little much. I'm kind of on the fence on 2.5 receptions for Breece Hall, but he's winning that job. He's just taking it every week.
Yeah, I think you're probably better off doing rush and receive together because it seems like he's just on the field now 70% of the time, and he's better than I thought he'd be. I mean, he looks really good. So that's saying a lot because I like Carter. So I think they got a few studs back there, and I say this on a weekly basis. Like the Jets offense is like not bad. Like if you watch them play, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not even sure who's their coordinator, but like they look relevant with Flacco and Wilson, who I think is just not a good quarterback at all. I mean, they looked relevant again last week. They got good playmakers on the outside, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, just a good young offense where you feel like you give this team another year or two. Maybe they get a little better quarterback, maybe a better OC. This team might be, at least relevant offensively. They do seem like they got a lot of playmakers and they're making the turn.
Yep. I like it. I like what's going on there. So we did it. We got out of time. What's coming up next on the platform here, buddy?
Yeah, you got Spread and Tyler catching touchdowns. It's something touchdowns. Printing touchdowns? No. That's at 3:30 where they run through the each game and talk through their thoughts for the
talking touchdowns.
Talking touchdowns. There you go. Going through each game and talking through some spots they like and Kurt's on them as well. Spread, Tyler and Kurt. Really good show to get you started for your weekend handicapping. And that's at 3:30, and that'll run till about 4:30 or 5, and then my dad will give you some plays at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, and if you're really interested, go back and watch the 8-minute standalone clip from the Fax Man joining us and then sabotaging the show and hitting stop. So
yeah, he was told, you could probably count it. He was told 5 or 6 different times, you can do whatever you want, just don't hit the red end button. And still could not help himself. Such a shame. Hold on real quick.
Just let's plug the site one more time. Joey Work with the baseball picks. He's been rolling. We got a ton of college, NFL picks up there, NBA right around the corner, NHL right around the corner. JJ, how do they get into Run Pure Bets?
Yeah, runpurebets.com. Bets 25 off, get you 25% off. Obviously, you'll get all our member picks for the weekend. I have all my picks up for the weekend. I have my dad's posted. Joey's obviously attacking baseball. And what a call by him with the Braves late in the year to hit them at 8-1 to land that division or pennant. But yeah, obviously he's going to have you covered in baseball. A lot of different picks in the sheet in NFL and college football for this weekend already up. And you'll get Spread's power rankings. You'll get Spread and Tyler's NFL playbook, which they'll run through a bit of that on the show next. Obviously, you get the Discord access. So yeah, all around, all that stuff for just, $45 a month, including the code, and you get all sports. So yeah, obviously join the community, see what we're about.
Once again, shout out to the Fax Man for making us do 2 shows. That's awesome.
And as for you, Nate Safai, tomorrow morning on the CFB show, that'll be at 9 a.m. They're moving it up an hour tomorrow. I'll talk on some CFB bets on that show if you're able to join it.
Wonderful. Well, since you have the fancy hat, why don't you get us out of here?
Yeah, obviously, as always, folks, gamble responsibly, stay safe, and yes, run pure. I'll see you guys tomorrow.